Welcome on into the First Round Fantasy Podcast, your home for second round advice. Jacob, I just realized.
What's up, man?
There it is. It's like loading in. Sorry, my apologies.
Yes.
What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm doing pretty well, man. Yeah, we're missing our little overlay there, but we got it back up and
Dude,
going.
That's the second time you've done that today, Jacob, where you like peek up like this, and I keep so. Quick story before we get into the podcast today.
It's a fantasy-related story.
Yeah, fantasy-related story. Right before we started the podcast, I was talking to Jacob about a possible trade partner I had in one of our common leagues, and I didn't want him to know the specific partner I was talking to or the players. I was just kind of giving him hints and wiggles and whatnot, right? And Jacob is trying to type over his mic, and as he says something, I'm looking at him, and he's like, "Oh, well, who's a wide receiver 3 that you're looking for?" And he goes like this over his screen if you're watching on YouTube. And it looks as if he's like zooming into
to peek at his phone.
Zooming into my phone. And for a second, I was very angry. I was like, dude, what are you doing? I like literally covered my phone.
I could see your phone. Like
that just goes to show you, man. Like we are that I'm that stingy and I'm that anxiety driven when it comes to fantasy football.
Yeah.
But it's what keeps me going. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you
going
for
behind
coming.
my back and making trades with players that we were discussing. It's terrible. Terrible ethics.
Thank you so much for stopping in. Before we get started today, feel free to like and subscribe down in the comments. We appreciate you all so much. Just like this guy who says so. Oh man, you gotta let me get the intro in first, bro. And we got Vincent. Why did I do exactly what my third graders do? Okay, Jacob. Background information. Jacob and I both work in education. Jacob, do you still have kids doing the movement?
No, but there's a whole bunch of other things they do, man. It's like, and you know what's hilarious now? I actually have third graders this year. I don't think I ever told you that.
No.
So now we both have third graders, and no, but they do this one thing. They say like, "Hey yo," I don't know what that means. Like, it's like when somebody says something dirty, they go, "Hey yo." I don't know. That's like a thing.
Do we know any of the things that young children are thinking or doing? It just doesn't make sense to me at all. And yet this is where we find ourselves in.
Everything they do is from TikTok.
I don't know, man. I don't know. But what's up, Hendrix? What's up, Vincent? What's up, Fam First? We appreciate you guys stopping in, saying hi. If you have any questions, drop them down in the comments. But before we do, please feel free to like and subscribe. Every time you do that, it helps us out. But obviously, we're going to work for it. We have questions. Ask us. We're here to be that sounding wall for you, the advice you need, or just to rant yourselves. Let us know how your fantasy seasons are going down in the comments. We'd love to hear about them because, frankly, I play in a lot of leagues, and it's very wavy waters right now. Jacob, I don't know how you are doing 5 weeks into the season.
Man, I am either 2-2 or below in all my leagues. So it's been a rough ride. And you know what it is? I have Kyle Pitts in a lot of places. So that means I spent a high pick on him. That means I spent like a third or fourth round pick on him, and I'm missing out on any production I would have got from a different player in that range. So I'm fighting. I'm struggling. Waiver wires, trades, that's where I'm looking to make an impact.
I feel it, man. I feel it. I am exactly the same way. And I'd love to get into what we have to get into today first. But speaking of first, let's get to Fam first. We're going to jump right into him today. I'm 1-3. My RBs are Taylor, Connor, Gibson, Algier, Walker. My wide receivers are McLaurin, Hollywood, Kirk, Olave, Bateman. Should I trade McLaurin for Hines, Gordon, and Thielen? Full PPR. If you need the running back depth, like you have Taylor, honestly, I don't think Taylor's going to be out that long. He was questionable going into tomorrow night's game. He's officially been ruled out as of now. And even if in that scenario, I don't really like Hines too much. I think they're going to bring in other guys to kind of play the field. So that trade basically comes down to Gordon and Thielen. And I'm fine holding on to Terry McLaurin, man. You don't have to do anything too crazy.
So is that for Melvin Gordon?
Who's the other Gordon? Am I missing one?
No, I'm saying, so is this, you never know, man. Sometimes I'm like, is that Smith? And it's like some Smith I never heard of, so it happens. But is that a trade McLaurin for all three of those guys? Or is that just McLaurin for one of those guys?
Even if it is, I wouldn't do that trade full PPR. I think I'd still hold on to McLaurin.
I mean, if you need a running back, Melvin Gordon's going to be the starting running back.
But he's got Connor, Gibson, Algier.
Yeah,
Walker's
I mean,
where it gets a
honestly,
little
your
shaky.
roster is very balanced.
His wide
I like
receivers
your
are
roster.
solid wide receivers. I don't think they're like game-breaking wide receivers. Like I'd imagine. Oh yeah, see, look, he's 1-3. So yeah, he's got an okay roster, but he's looking for that, that oomph, right? And this trade just kind of keeps you where you are.
He's been losing because of Jonathan Taylor.
Well, and Terry McLaurin. That's why I think he wants to trade him, because Terry McLaurin's only had one good week.
For all three, honestly, for all three, I would do that trade.
All right.
Well, especially, it depends who you're dropping. Who are you dropping to make room for these guys? But honestly, because I would consider it just for Gordon straight up. So for all three, I would do it.
That's fair. Well, hey, thanks a lot, Fan First. Dude, what do you mean that was the most for disrespect? I don't even know what that is. Can you
Is it like a thing? Like a CU? I don't know.
Yeah, maybe I don't know, man. You got to let me know so I can give it a better shot next time. Johnny Quest in the chat. Yo, what's going on, man? Liked on both accounts. We appreciate you, Hendrix, so much. Vincent already popping at us with the questions too. 10-man standard league. He's playing in the ancient BC times before. No, wait, it'd be BPPR times before PPR. Yeah, whatever. Anyways, scoring. Who to start at running back? I need 2. Eckler, J-Rob, Josh Jacobs, David Montgomery, or Dobbins. Definitely Akers, or definitely Eckler. Coming off a 3-touchdown performance, I look for that to carry on. He's probably your mainstay there. I understand where you would have some reasonable concern. Let's rule David Montgomery out of this equation just because he's coming back, if he does, from a week of absence. And I don't think the matchup is as gnarly as people would like it to be. Dobbins had a fine week in his first kind of full game, but I still think they're ramping him up. And now even with Gus Edwards back in the fold, I don't think he's going to play this week. He still has like 3 weeks to go, but he's now currently off of IR and practicing again. I don't know too much about him. So your real 2 guys are J-Rob and Josh Jacobs. I'd have to look up matchups to see what's going on there. Jacob, I don't know if you pulled them up. With all these different teams, we just never really know what's going on.
No, I mean, it's definitely between those 3 guys, right? I mean, you're starting Eckler no matter what. And then
100%.
You got to decide between those 2 guys. And really, it depends on matchup. And how did James Robinson do this past week? Is he
he did not do good. He did not do good. Honestly,
well, the whole team struggled though.
Yeah, I think the Raiders
obviously the Raiders are playing the Chiefs,
which are a top 5 run defense to go up against. So I love.
And the Jaguars are playing the Texans.
Yeah, I understand that, man. But when you feed Josh Jacobs 28 times, I don't know if that's what game script calls for, because it was a pretty close game up until the second half. I'm just afraid that if the Raiders play KC, they will go down fast, and it'll be more of a catch-em-up game. Now, Josh Jacobs has been catching the ball. He saw 5 targets over the last 2 weeks. If they can do that, Josh Jacobs is in a much more efficient offense, but I don't know. J-Rob is looking for a bounce back too. It depends on who you like there. I think final conclusion, I'm going Austin Eckler, Josh Jacobs. Jacob?
That is very tough, but I'm going, I'll do the same, because technically he's still sharing with ETN, even though they're both not doing well, which we'll talk about later.
We'll get to that. Johnny Quest, turn on the super chat. Dude,
I wish we could.
We need you to get us there, man. You just keep liking. New people keep subscribing. We will have a super chat. I don't even know what it is, because I'm growing this channel with everybody that comes in. So just know that I am growing with all of you. Johnny Quest, year of the 0 RB. Yeah, because guys like Cook, guys like Taylor, guys like, until last week, Austin Eckler, guys like, come on, Jacob, give me one. Derrick Henry came back 2 weeks ago. He's pretty good. But yes, Javonte Williams going down.
Dalvin
These
Cook. Did you say Dalvin Cook?
Yes, these cream of the crop running backs are just not cutting it so far this year. And I would argue to say year of the zero RB is in full swing because J-Rob was a zero RB
injury,
target.
Like Swift was that running back on the first, second round line, and he with injuries, disappointing.
Very disappointing. Hey, keep up the work. Good work. Hey, guys, if you didn't notice, I recently got married, and look, she has to change her name now. So now she's Miramontes. Thanks, babe. Love you. Thanks for stopping by. Hendricks, he's 2-2, just scored a bazillion points this week and had Amon-Ra out. Lost Javonte too. Yeah, that's tough. But wait, you scored a bazillion points and you had Amon-Ra out and lost Javonte? I mean, I guess that's good then, right? But if you're planning ahead, I don't know. Let us know what's going on. And Hendricks, I'll try it again. See you. That just felt awkward and forced. I'm moving on. Fam Force. It's for all three. Yeah, I'm still sticking with Terry McLaurin. Jacob says to do it, man.
Wow.
That's what it is. Hopefully we can help you out, man. Corey Hawkins, start Josh Jacobs or Miles Sanders this week. Let's look at the Miles Sanders matchup really quick. I'll pull it up here. We just did a J-Rob over Josh Jacobs, or I'm sorry, Josh Jacobs over J-Rob
up in here.
Yeah, man. Dude, they play in good leagues. They're smart. They're listening to us, maybe. I don't know, but they're doing good, dude. I like it. J-Rob this week, middle of the road defense in Arizona, who has been run on quite a few times this year. And didn't he get like something 24, 27? So literally 2 volume-based running backs over the last week and a half. Josh Jacobs and Miles Sanders toe-to-toe in a start-sit decision. Bro, if you could start on both, like, what are you doing? I got to figure out where your other players are. Is there someone we can sit other than these two? Because right now I think those are cream of the crop matchups. If you had to pick one, I think I'm going with the more efficient offense that's least likely to play catch-up, and that's Miles Sanders. As they go up against Arizona. Now, don't get me wrong, it should be a shootout, but Miles Sanders has gotten work steadily where Josh Jacobs is just now starting to see this increase. And if they fall behind in week 5 to the Kansas City Chiefs, then I'm worried that his PPR value may not carry him to a good performance. Jacob?
Yeah, that's tough because they both had really good games. They both had some of the best games of their careers. To be honest,
they did.
I honestly I've always been a believer in Josh Jacobs. I just thought the Raiders were utilizing him wrong. I think he could have been, and the thing is, he's been a borderline like top 12 running back almost every year that he's been in the league for fantasy.
When he's healthy.
I think 1 year he was out of it, like not, but still.
Yeah.
So like if they just utilize him right, I always believed he's a top 12 talent in the league. So. And I don't feel that way about Miles Sanders. So I'm going to go Josh Jacobs.
Fair enough. Hopefully, he can help you out, Coy Hawkins. I appreciate you stopping by. Gio Ramos. Rank these QB streamers. Geno Smith versus the Saints. Goff versus New England. Wentz versus Tennessee.
Wow.
I'm going gut reaction here. Wentz versus Tennessee. Goff versus New England. Geno versus the Saints. There's my 2 cents in there. I think Wentz is due for a good game. Tennessee is a great defense to go up against. Meanwhile, Goff and Geno played each other last week. 2 horrible defense. Now they go up against 2 pretty solid defenses. So again, it's Wentz for me, then Goff, then Geno. Yeah, so that's how I rank.
I would actually go Wentz, Geno, Goff. I would go Wentz, Geno, Goff. I just don't like the Patriot games. I don't.
You never know. With the games,
I just don't like even if it's a great quarterback. Look, nothing on Goff. If he had a better matchup, I would choose him number 1. But yeah, Wentz, Geno, Goff.
Fair enough. Hendricks back at us. What do y'all think about holding on to Higgins? I have Amon-Ra, Sutton, Cooks, Thielen for wide receivers. Would you sell high on Higgins? I mean, if you're selling high on Higgins, I like him. He's your wide receiver 1 that technically should be a wide receiver 2. And Amon-Ra is kind of busted up right now. We don't know the extent of that injury.
Yeah.
Looks like Russell Wilson is starting to bounce back. Cooks is just unreliable. Thielen is unreliable. They're good bench wide receivers. They're guys that you need to plug in during these bye weeks. But Amon-Ra, Sutton, and Higgins are your guys. So that's your core, man. I wouldn't try to sell high unless you're getting premium value. And I don't know if anybody's going to be willing to give you that.
Yeah, I would just hold on to Higgins. I mean, how much are you trying to improve? Like, unless your running backs are absolutely depleted, I would just hold on to Higgins.
Yeah, fair enough. Thanks again, Hendricks. We appreciate you, man. Stephen Joe, what's up, fellas? Should I start Hines? That's a big NO for me. I am not starting Hines this week. You can reach across the screen and slap me in the face next week if he happens to have a good game. But with Philip Lindsay called up from the practice squad, and they also have another guy. Come on, I don't know his name
that no one's ever heard of. Yeah.
But he very well could play a part. I don't want any part of it, especially when the offense as a whole has just not been what it was supposed to be going into this season. It scares me. I'm not willing to start any of them. I'd rather just see how it unfolds. If you're desperate and you're playing like in a 12-team league, maybe 14, 16-man league, then of the three, they're saying Philip Lindsay, beat writers as of now. Philip Lindsay is going to get the bulk of the workload, but we'll have to see how that turns out. I'd lean Philip Lindsay at this point over Neon Hines.
It's a very vague question. I mean, I would say yes, depending on your circumstances. You need a flex. We're in a 10-team league that's half PPR, and our friend he lost a running back. I forget who it is, but he's starting Nyheim Hines as his RB2, so it depends on your situation.
We appreciate you, Stephen Joe. Thanks for coming by. I got ice going in the background, and speaking of ice, Leo Nell Cabral is in the chat. Let's go, boys. Looking fresh in that dapper suit, my man.
I know, man. I need to upgrade my picture.
Seriously, man. Seriously. You're looking good, man. Thanks for stopping by. Hendricks, look up Cristiano Ronaldo when you have time. I'll look it up here on the podcast right now while we answer this next question. Burned my waiver wire on Algier, thin at RB, but hoping for the best. I was also able to pick up Huntley too. I think that's great, man. A team that ran the ball 40 times last week with a QB that threw the ball 18 times this week. They're not exciting this week as they go up against Tampa Bay, one of the top run defenses in the league. But I would definitely hold on to them, especially with Patterson on IR. So he's out at least 4 weeks. It's better to have 2 than none because brighter days are ahead. But Tampa Bay is not a good place to start, man. So good job to you, Stephen Jeff, for getting both of them. Let's see. Cole Hawkins says, I have Joe Mixon. Okay, I'm going back to look at the old. Oh, so he's looking to start someone alongside Joe Mixon. Yeah, you're starting Joe Mixon. Probably Josh Jacobs, dude. Josh Jacobs. And I went way past my comments. Here we go. Back up again. Anton Montez. Why does that sound like someone jiggled the words in my name and then like put parts of it out? Like Mira Montez and Anton. Whatever. It's not. I don't have. My hands have been here the whole time. Pick 2. 1 RB, 1 flex. Godwin, London, Pierce, Dobbins, and Dobbs. That is a guy who's been coming up. He probably got Dobbs off the waiver wire. He drafted Pierce late, Dobbins later, and then London and Godwin. Pick 2. 1 RB, 1 flex. Oh, so you definitely need an RB. So it's between Pierce, Dobbins. I'm going Pierce.
I would go Dameon Pierce.
Yeah, I'd go Pierce. And as far as your flex goes with the wide receiver, dude, Godwin came out, didn't skip a beat, led the team in targets, led the team in yards. Did it amount to a good fantasy day? Not necessarily, but he still put up 13 fantasy points. And inevitably, he's going to find the end zone and get more yardage. I'm leaning Godwin here. In a plus matchup, I believe. I'll have to look it up. Jacob, thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I would for sure go Dameon Pierce because if you look at the numbers behind the fantasy points, he's getting literally 100% of the carries on the Texans. Well, Dobbins is not. He may have gotten a lot of red zone carries, but he's not getting close to that workload. So for sure, Dameon Pierce. And then, yeah, I mean, I would for sure.
Godwin has Atlanta this week. That's a great matchup. Yeah. I'm still going.
Yeah, I would go Godwin. As long as Godwin's fully healthy, full go, yeah, Godwin.
Yeah, and London has Tampa Bay. Those corners, man.
Those are some great options, though. Like, I would feel good with any of them in my starting lineup.
Yeah, for sure. Anton, new to the chat, dude. We appreciate you. And we hope that as we go through these questions and you guys are listening and maybe you've written a question and you're waiting for us to get to it, we want you to know that hopefully these questions are jogging your brain, making you think about your league and your other start decisions and mates in your league. It's all good conversation and it just needs to be had. There's a huge water fall going on in my background. I apologize for that. Jacob's cringing with his ears. I'm so sorry, but I do live in a home with other people. It's just the way it is. My wife. Vincent, back at it. 10-man standard league. I need wide receivers. Need 2. A.J. Brown, T. Higgins, Waddle, London, and Bateman. A.J. Brown, T. Higgins, probably. And I lean that way because Waddle is without his QB. And even if Tua was there, that's a good wide receiving core to have, man. A.J. Brown, T. Higgins for me. I don't like London this week. Going up against Tampa Bay. Bateman has proven to be boom or bust. Waddle has a second string.
I gotta remember this is standard. Yeah.
And
Brown
touchdowns.
And Higgins.
Touchdowns, yeah. Vincent, dude, Higgins. Keep him firing, man. Keep him firing. Coy traded Jamal Williams for T. Higgins.
Whoa,
wow. When was this, dude? This had to have been. When would that have been? Because if you did it this season, dude, that is we need to hit. We need
like
to
unless it's standard, I would take T. Higgins 10 times out of 10, maybe even in standard too.
Dude, yeah, what? Yeah, of course, because no one knew.
There is a world where Swift is. There is a world where Swift misses like 10 games, but
sure, but we need that in context. When did you trade for him? Yeah. Maybe he clears it up right here. My wide receivers are Devontae Adams, T. Higgins, Hollywood, Amari Cooper. I'm starting Adams and Higgins with Hollywood at my flex and Mixon and Sanders as my starting RBs. Thoughts?
That's solid,
dude. Yeah, I don't. What's your record again? You're not. No, you have to be at least 2-2. Leonel Cabral is in the chat. I think Devontae Adams is realizing Carr is definitely. Hey man, come on, get it together. And don't say that again or get off my channel. That's right. I said it. I'm rude to people. But thank you for the
He's comment. A biased Raiders fan.
Yes, he is not Aaron Rodgers, and I think he knows that. But he's also getting a huge bag of money, and he's not freezing in Wisconsin. So I think he's okay. He's also in the twilight of his career. He probably wants to spend it in sunny, Las Vegas. Viva Las Vegas. Appreciate all the feedback, guys. Hendricks, we appreciate you, man. We appreciate you. Thank you for coming in. Thank you for giving us your questions. We appreciate you. Hopefully it works out for the best. If for some reason we gave you horrible advice this week, come back next week. Let us try again, and then you can subscribe. All right? We appreciate you, man. JM, I'm over. That's never what you want to start a chat with, dude. I'm over fantasy. My team players are a bust. I only listen because it's a good podcast. That's got to be something we know, because who would come on here to say that? I guess we're good guys. We try to be. But sorry, JM. Hey, this is time. I tell this story every single year. My very first year of fantasy, I started 0-6. I proceeded to go all the way to the championship game. I did not win, but I made it all the way to the championship game. So for me, my new motto is, if I'm not as bad as 0-6, there is still a fighting chance. Maybe if I'm 0-7, I'm done with the season. 0-7, I'm done with the season.
I started the season 0-5, and I came back and went all the way to the semi-championship round. So that has taught me to never give up.
Never count yourself out, man. Play the waiver wire, play the fab, trade your players. Make something happen, man. Enact some life into that roster. Better value, Romeo Doubs or George Pickens. Rest of season. Ooh, this is probably one of the most exciting questions we've gotten all day. Just kidding. It's not. I hate these guys because I've been trying to trade for them everywhere, and I can't get them because their values are just too darn high. Even in redraft, I'm just upset. I'm upset. Now I'm really rooting for just Christian
Watson.
Watson.
The wide receiver 3 you were trying to get.
Oh, it comes out. It comes out.
I pay attention.
No. Not fair, Jacob. You're supposed to put those thoughts out of mind.
Just came to me. As soon as you said that, I knew.
For me, it's got to be Romeo Doubs, man. Until things show otherwise, maybe Christian Watson gets a little bit more run as the season goes on. But he's playing with the better quarterback. No offense to Kenny Pickett. But the Steelers as a whole also have a horrible schedule coming up. And it just doesn't look good for the outlook of the team in general. So for me, it's Romeo Doubs over George Pickens. However, I love them both. They're both young, talented wide receivers, and I want great things to happen for them, even if I don't have them on my fantasy teams. And yes, I do have George Pickens on my dynasty roster, one of them, but I have no shares of Romeo Doubs, and it's proving very, very it's making me angry. It's making me angry. Gio?
Yeah.
I mean, Jacob?
2 words, Aaron Rodgers. So Romeo Dubs. If you put Dubs on the Steelers and Pickens on the Packers, I would go Pickens. Like it's simply just because he's looking like Aaron Rodgers' favorite target.
Johnny Quest, I have Hill, McCaffrey with garbage, bleep, Mayfield, and Hurts. I'm 1-3. Do I trade one of these studs or hold tight and play my free agency game? It depends. I don't want to talk to you if it's one of the leagues I play you in. Let's talk McCaffrey after the podcast. Let's talk McCaffrey after the podcast, man. We'll turn your team around.
May or may not have been offered McCaffrey by Johnny and several other players. Yeah, but I have Hill, McCaffrey. Yeah. I mean, whatever. You got to do something, right? You can't stagnant. Do nothing about it and just stay 1-3 like me. I'm like, no, my roster's gonna figure it out and pull myself out of this. You got to do something. You got to make a change.
12-man half PPR. If I don't start Hines, I'd have to start DJ Moore. Pollard I like better. Admins I like better. DJ Moore finally showing some signs of life. I like better. Is my best bet just playing Hines, or do I drop Hines and pick up Lindsey? See, now that's where you get into the interesting. Do you drop Hines and pick up Lindsey? Judging on what beat reporters are saying, Lindsey's going to get the bulk of the carries. He's going to get the bulk of the work. But with that being said, you probably start DJ Moore, Pollard, or Edmonds over those guys. And if I'd have to lean one, I'd lean Pollard. He's been tearing up runs. He's been getting run. I like him a lot. So I'd start Pollard in that scenario. But as far as dropping Hines for Lindsey, I mean, you're taught not to trust beat writers during the offseason because they're just there to write hype pieces. But during the season, I mean, you're looking for any piece of straw to keep your season alive. And if I'm hearing that Lindsey's going to get more work than Hines, then I'm probably leaning to drop Hines and pick up Lindsey. But I would not blame you if you held tight, man. I would not blame you because we don't know what's going to happen. And again, this could just be a 1-week thing. They're playing on a short week. It wasn't a serious injury as it was first thought out to be. You could just not even be thinking about this next Sunday because you're going to be starting Taylor again. So just hold tight, start your players who you have, and let it play out. Jacob?
No, yeah, I wouldn't mind starting DJ Moore, Pollard, or Algier over him. I know DJ Moore's been struggling, but like I always believe in him. He'll pull it together. We'll see. And I do like Pollard's going to have better days. Don't be too discouraged about last week. And look, Algier got a lot of work last week, so we'll see.
Yeah, the only thing that scares me about him is that Tampa Bay defense that he goes up against.
Yeah, for sure. Week. But Clyde Edwards-Helaire did well against them.
Very true. Very true. But Kansas City isn't Atlanta. But yeah, Vincent Nugent back in the chat, or Nguyen. 10-man standard league. The weakness to my roster is my QB. Dude. Who should I look to add and who should I look to drop? Well, we're going to talk about a few guys in a minute here. I know Jacob is. But Leo says definitely drop Tua. Well, I mean, I wouldn't go that far, especially if it's like a dynasty or keeper league. But I appreciate you chiming in, Leo. He's got some comments. I love it, man. I love it. Does Carolina trade for Cooper Rush mid-season? I don't know, man. I'll let you be the judge of that one, Gio. But we appreciate you so much. Thanks for stopping by. My gut impulse says negative. When was the last time? No, I don't even want to get into that because we are 30 minutes into this show and we got to get the ball rolling. So when we're taking a break from answering all your questions, which, hey, if we could just spend a whole night answering your questions, we would. But now that we got some downtime, it's time to talk some fantasy football. News and notes. Jacob, my question for you today is, who is a riser and who is a faller for you? And when I put that question into perspective, I want you to think about players that necessarily weren't on your radar and players who maybe were on your radar and are now starting to rise up in the ranks, maybe your weekly rankings, and people that are coming down. And here's my example. My riser, somebody that I'm keeping an eye on, somebody that's easily moving on up in the tier, is Rachaad White, running back for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It's not often in the NFL that a coach comes out and says that a player is going to do something that they have not done before. Well, Todd Bowles said that they were going to get Rachaad White more involved, and he comes out and he gets more involved in the passing game. I like that. I don't envision the Buccaneers playing from behind as much as they did last week when they played Kansas City. However, going forward, I'm going to keep an eye on Rachaad White. I have him in a dynasty league already. I have my little check mark there. He could be a hot waiver wire pickup. I mean, as of right now, he is a premium handcuff if Leonard Fournette goes down. But he is also a guy that I have starred on all of my little platforms because I'm keeping an eye on him and I want to pick him up when the time is right, maybe even a week or two early. And I think right now we're about 2 weeks away from what could be a Rachaad White coming up moment. And that's a guy that I think is rising. A guy that I think is falling, on the other hand, is Michael Carter. He has lost his share of touches in the New York City area, metropolitan area, to Breece Hall, first round rookie running back for fantasy. And I just don't think, bending or barring injury, which we never like to see happen, I think Michael Carter is slowly becoming a thing of the past. Great story last year, third round pick. Was able to do some great things when healthy. However, now that Breece Hall is there, he finally came out. He dominated carries last week, 17-9, had the touchdown. I like what I'm seeing from Breece Hall. I think they're going to roll with him as the season gets going, especially with the Jets being, 2-2 right now. So it's not like they're just out of it already. This is a team that's competing. And hopefully Zach Wilson, who didn't look bad, he looked bad, but he was clutch when he needed to be. I like where this team's going, and I want to keep seeing it that way. So those are my risers and fallers. Jacob, I'll hand it over to you. And again, that was Rachaad White as a riser and Michael Carter as a faller.
Those are some great choices.
Thanks, man.
I'm going to have to go with my riser. This is not someone that I was completely off my radar, but I underestimated him, and that is Pat Freiermuth. And his stock could be even more on the rise with the change at quarterback in Pittsburgh. I just think overall it's better for all the pass catchers that Kenny Pickett is going to be the quarterback. But look, Pat Freiermuth, he's been on the waiver wire in some of my 10-man leagues, and he's still available. I even added him to the end of one of my rosters just in case because my tight end's questionable. And if you look at his, just even since the beginning of the year, 10 targets, 7 targets, week 3, 4 targets, okay, but then back to 9 targets in week 4. And then last week, 85 yards on 7 catches. That gives you 15 plus fantasy points. I'll tell you what, I have Kyle Pitts and him in the same league. I'm starting Pat Freiermuth. I'm thinking about starting him over guys like George Kittle. So think about where we had Kittle and Pitts coming into the year, like very high, 3rd, 4th round picks. And we're talking about a guy who either went super, super late or didn't get drafted in 10-team leagues, Pat Freiermuth. He's the man. I believed in him since he came into the league, and I think he's going to continue to succeed. So that's my riser for sure. And
that's a good one, man. I like it.
My faller, I wish we had some sad music to play right now because faller breaks my heart.
Wait, that was the Jurassic Park. Never mind. Go ahead.
That music does make me sad because Jurassic World Dominion sucks. But because I just watched it the other day, by the way. But no, Gabe Davis, my boy. That's my boy. He's a faller for me. I can't look. I was so high on him. A lot of people were. I was viewing him as a locked-in wide receiver 2 this season. That is not the case until I'm proven otherwise. Look, he played the last 2 weeks, and I know he was injured and he's coming off an injury. So someone smarter could tell me, hey, it's injury related. But look, he's played 96% and 98% of the snaps these past 2 weeks. 3 targets and 6 targets. Or 6 targets and then 3 targets, 37 yards, 13 yards. Week 1 was great. It was a coming out party. And unfortunately, he went away after that week 1 coming out party. I still love Gabe Davis as a player. I think eventually he will be consistent. But as of right now, I don't trust him in my starting lineup. So he's a faller for me.
That's fair, man. That's unfortunate. I think he's definitely a wide receiver 3. But he's a boom bust wide receiver 3. And it's unfortunate because people were really hoping that he would put up some strong wide receiver 2 numbers this year. And that's a perfect example of a riser and a faller. So thank you, Jacob Barley. We appreciate your comments and sincerity and your feeling for a guy that you strongly held close to your heart this season.
One day we'll have sound bites and we'll be able to play sad music during those moments.
Yeah, and hey,
One day.
I'll do this really quick. If we have to be honest and we have to own up to things, Jacob had Lamar Jackson much higher than I did this season. I think I definitely had him inside the top 10, but I had him somewhere around 9. Jacob had him somewhere around like 6 or something like that. He's currently, obviously, QB1 on the season. And we've been called out by our personal friends for those takes. So it's honest and open and transparent that we share them here with you. We did our QB rankings earlier in the season. He's a man among boys. He's on a contract year with no contract, which is one of a kind and very rare. And he's doing amazing things. So, Lamar Jackson, I humbly apologize
I mean, look,
for ranking you so
every year, every analyst or whatever fantasy football pundit enthusiast is going to get calls wrong. We all are. So cut everyone some slack.
Definitely. Fantasy sleepers, Finkel Einhorn. Finkel, my dude. Thanks for stopping by. Man. We appreciate you so much. Jacob, let's talk waiver wires and woes really quick. Was there somebody you were really hoping to get this week and you just lost out on? Or did you get the guy you wanted?
Yeah, so I didn't put in a lot of claims this week, so I didn't miss out on anyone necessarily. But to my surprise, we play in a half PPR league, Pick Six, and it's what our league's called. And Tyler Argill was available. I put down 205 fab, which is what, 20% roughly of our total?
Sure, of 1,000, yeah.
And I was like, look, I'm going to put 20% in. That's what I'm willing to pay. Someone's going to bid more. And I checked in the morning and I got Tyler Algier. So I was very happy to see that.
Well, I'm glad that you got Tyler Algier. A lot of people were also going out there to grab Caleb Huntley. We talked about it, right? The team rushed the ball 40 times last week, almost nearly 40 times. I round up because I round up all the time. It sounds better. But still, Tampa Bay, San Francisco, Cincinnati are their next 3 games. Both teams with elite run rushing defense. And then it eases up just a little bit. But Patterson is expected to come back in 4 weeks. So that puts them right around the timeline of week 9 where they go against the Los Angeles Chargers. You have to expect that maybe they ease him back in after missing some time. So out of the 4 or 5 weeks that Patterson is gone, 3 of those games, I'm not even thinking about starting those guys. These are all top 10. And when you talk about San Francisco and Tampa Bay specifically, they're 1 and 2 rushing defenses on the year. So I don't feel confident in them going forward. I put claims on Algier, just like you said in our Pick 6 league. I did not put that much money in him, but I will tell you that I won't tell you how much I did put on him, so you don't know how I value players. But you probably know. I'm cheap. Anyways, but yeah.
Hey, at least I didn't put 500 on Tua.
Yeah, they're guys that if you're yes, very true. They're guys that if you're desperate, you need. But they're also guys that, hey, people took shots on Patterson late in the season. So you should have had your running back room pretty much solidified by the time you were picking up Patterson in the offseason. So these guys are pretty much waiver wires for everyone. It's not like, oh, Taylor went out and I need to decide between Hines and Lindsey. This was a situation that was just random in general. And I don't like any of the matchups over the next 2 weeks. Tyler Higbee is a tight end that we think you should keep an eye on. I was unable to put it. I put a claim in for him. I was unable to get him. Jacob, I don't know if you have him in any of your leagues, but he was someone that I would check your waiver wire for. Been very consistent this year. Tyler Higbee, along with Coughlin as well. Jacob, go ahead. You have faces. Make your faces and say your things.
So, all right, I have to look. We're on a fantasy podcast, so I have to give my strategies. Sometimes I like to sit back and let everyone else fight over the waiver wires. And then I go in, I sneak in after midnight and I pick up, or in the morning, and I pick up all the guys who didn't get picked
creeper,
up.
Dude.
This morning, because I have Kyle Pitts in our main league. This morning, to my surprise, Tyler Higbee was just sitting there on the waiver wire, and I picked him up for free. So thank you. I'm probably going to start Tyler Higbee over Kyle Pitts. That is crazy.
Yeah, well, good for you, Jacob. Everyone's so happy for you. Round of applause. Yep. Jacob didn't put any bids in this week, but the bid he put in he got, and the guy he wanted who was there after the waiver wire, he got. So good, Jacob. I'm glad things are going well for you, my
Well, at least
co-host
in the waiver
and
wire.
partner in crime. At least in the waiver. Hey,
We'll see.
but that's where good things start, my friend. That's where good things start.
True.
Jared Goff is a QB you want to keep an eye on. I don't really like his matchup this week. I think he falls back down to earth. But if you're in the streaming category, Jared Goff might be a guy. But usually in those redraft leagues, he's probably somebody that was like, oh man, he had a great game and I didn't have him. I'll wait until bye weeks to pick him up if he's still there, because I doubt you're rostering 2 QBs, 3 QBs, anything of that nature. And then let's see here, Christian Watson. Christian Watson was a guy that I picked up last week. I was excited to have him. And I'll be honest with you, only because I did not get any shares of Romeo Doubs. So I had to psych myself up in other ways. And that was by getting Christian Watson as a second place.
Hey, he had
prize.
a rushing touchdown.
He had a rushing touchdown, man. And he was heavily used in the rushing game in his first 2 weeks before he went out with injury. So I don't know, something to keep an eye on. He was the more valued of the two, Romeo Doubs and Christian Watson. They spent the higher draft capital. And time again, we see that draft capital does mean something in fantasy football and in just the NFL in general. So be on the lookout for him. And then also Mike Boone. Sad news about Javonte Williams. That's unfortunate, very unfortunate. Now it's Melvin Gordon at the helm. However, he's dealing with injury issues. They also signed Latavius Murray. That backfield it went from exciting to pretty scary, especially with head coach Nathaniel Hackett at the helm. It just hasn't really panned out how fantasy owners wanted it to be. And if I can say sorry to anybody, it's to Johnny, because he loved Javonte Williams and he has him in everywhere, and now he doesn't have him. So
and traded a lot for him in a certain league.
Yeah, I feel very bad for you.
Well, hey, injuries happen. There's nothing any of us can do.
Yeah, it's very true. Gio, thanks. Yes, it is sad. I've never seen it. I don't plan on it. Pickens or White in Dynasty? I got to go Pickens, man. Wide receiver. It is the age of wide receivers. I'm going Pickens all day, every day.
Yeah, as long as it's some form of PPR, Pickens.
Yeah, Stephen Joe. Have you guys heard of rumors or DJ Moore to KC? Probably won't happen, but interesting. I haven't heard any rumors. Is it if it's in the off season? Sure, I'm all for it. I was going to ask this earlier, but we were just using up a lot of time. When was the last time like a big trade happened in the off season? I mean, in the regular season.
Sony Michel to the Rams. But
that wasn't the off season. Was that during the season?
No, that was during the season. Yeah.
Oh, see, like
during the season,
you just don't get those trades like you do in the MLB or in the NBA. Like that tends to happen more in those leagues. In the NFL, once your team is set, your team is set, unless injuries happen and you're like picking guys up off of free agency and stuff. But I don't know, man. That'd be cool. His fantasy stock would arise. That's for sure. Stephen Joe, man, we appreciate you sticking around. Thank you so, so much. Before we go any further, which, of course, we have a show to do, we're going to get into our dark horses and fool's gold players. But we are grateful to say that we are finally, and round of applause. Thanks to our sponsors, Manscaped. So we're going to go ahead and pause, take a quick break, and here's your sponsor from Manscaped.
Hey everybody, Jacob Bartley here from the First Round Fantasy Podcast. Support for the First Round Fantasy Podcast is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below the waist grooming. Their products are precision engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped Performance Package, the ultimate men's hygiene bundle. Join over 6 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you. 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code FRF Sports. Again, 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code FRF Sports at manscaped.com. If my math is correct, that's about 12 million balls. See, way before First Round Fantasy partnered with Manscaped, I have been using their products. No lie. I bought one of their previous lawnmowers years ago, and I've been using it. And honestly, it is the best grooming product I've ever used. The Performance Package 4.0 has arrived, and oh man, it is a game changer. Inside this package, you'll find their Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, Weed Whacker, ear and nose hair trimmer, Crop Preserver ball deodorant, Crop Reviver toner, Performance boxer briefs, and a travel bag to hold your goodies. It's time to take care of yourself. So go to manscaped.com and get 20% off plus free shipping. And we all know how expensive shipping is right now. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com, and use FRF Sports. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped.
We appreciate Manscaped. And remember, by supporting Manscaped, and you're supporting us. So we appreciate you guys. Please feel free. We have the link down in the description below. And again, by supporting our sponsor, you support us, the show, which allows us to bring more content to you guys. We appreciate you so, so much. Let's get back to it, man. Steve and Joe, appreciate the feedback, fellas, from a fellow educator.
Nice.
Jacob, come on, dude. I thought that was a thing we started last week. There it goes. I do roundhouse. Jacob does spirit fingers. These are spirit fingers. Do you know that movie, Buff? Do you know what movie that is?
Oh my goodness.
These aren't spirit fingers. These are spirit fingers.
It's not Bring It On, is it?
Dude, it is. Nice job, man.
Oh, wow.
Well, hey,
awesome.
You fight a good fight, Steve and Joe, man. We appreciate you. And to one fellow educator to another, we salute you, my friend. Thank you for all you do in keeping those kids off the streets.
By the way, this is also the way that you applaud in American Sign Language. So that's why I do it too.
Thank you for all of our. Now I feel bad. Like we need to start doing. Thanks a lot.
It's both. It's both.
It's both. It's both. Big timers. Thanks, Gio, man. We appreciate you so much. We couldn't have done it with people like you. We couldn't have done it with people.
We couldn't have done it without people.
We couldn't have done it without people like you, man. So thank you so, so much. Jacob, you ready to get into some dark horses, man? Dude,
I am, yes.
Let's go. Let's fly. But before we do, let's recap last week. As far as our dark horses were concerned, I went with Romeo Dobbs, 15 plus fantasy points. He came through in the clutch. Jacob went with Travis Etienne. Unfortunately, that was a no-go. Travis Etienne said, "It's not my time yet," but it will be. I think we still believe that.
I'm done starting him ever. I'll wait. I'll keep him on my bench though. Never drop him.
Yeah, never drop him, of course. I mean, the symmetry is there with him and Trevor Lawrence, and we hope that they can find it at some point. And it's still very early on in the season, so things change on a dime. And he looks good, so let's keep it rolling. As far as this week is concerned, and before we get started, I want to bring something up. When we talk about dark horses and when we talk about fool's gold players, Jacob, I hope you can agree with me because we've never really talked about this. Yes, can we hit in an ideal world? We can hit on these players every single week. But in reality, they're not called surefire starts of the week because then we're talking about guys like Dalvin Cook, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase. We're not talking about these guys. We're talking about guys that you have legitimate concerns about or legitimate questions about heading into your week's matchups. So we can get the ball rolling. So when I think about it, I don't think about, I have to get a 9 out of 10 on a spelling test because Steve and Joe, I'm applying to a fellow educator here, relating that way. I think about it as a baseball average. Everybody looks at a baseball average and says, wow, he's hitting 347. That's right. You're hitting the ball 3.5 times out of every 10 times you come to the plate. Does that sound good when you say it? No, but it's a good batting average. So for us, when we make these picks, because we've been getting a lot of heat on them, but then we also get praise for the ones we get. You know what? The hate is always so much louder than the praise. Right, Jacob?
Yes, it is. It always is.
And with that being said, that's kind of the approach we take to these. We want to get them right. We do the research to ensure that we think we're going to get them right. But when we aim amongst stars, sometimes we fall amongst the clouds. Okay. So
wow.
As far as on the year, I am 3 for 4. And Jacob is 2 for 4. So it's not bad on dark horses. Let's get into them this week. Jacob, are you ready? I've asked you twice now. So the third time better be the charm.
I'm no longer ready. Just kidding.
Okay, good.
Let's go.
All right, let's get into week 5, dark horses of the week. Jacob, I've been rambling on for so long. Let's start with you. Who is your dark horse heading into week 5 of the fantasy season?
Yeah, it's a guy that we've mentioned quite a few times today, and that is George Pickens of the Pittsburgh Steelers. I've been waiting for this moment for several reasons. I knew it's only a matter of time before Kenny Pickett becomes the starter. And a lot of times, rookies that come in together, they just become close because they're going through all of those, rookie experiences together on the same team, and a quarterback throws to a wide receiver. So naturally, unless they just don't get along for some reason, naturally these guys are going to bond. And so when it's time for Kenny Pickett to come in the game, it looks like he might have found a favorite target in George Pickens. Now, look, I'm not saying George Pickens is going to supplant the other pass catchers there in Pittsburgh. I don't know why all their names are leaving my mind. Deontay Johnson, Chase Claypool, that's another conversation. I'm completely done with him. But I don't think he's just going to become the number one target. But I think he could be the number two target there. Him and Pat Freiermuth. And look, we got 8 targets. They weren't all from Kenny Pickett, but all I know is I was watching the game, checking my fantasy lineup. I didn't have him in, but checking my bench, I seen Pickett had 3 fantasy points, and all of a sudden he ends the game with a lot more after Pickett comes in. So I just think naturally he's going to be targeted. And look, they play the Bills, which it's not a Gabe, you're muted, but it's not
it's tough, but it's not
the greatest matchup in the world. But who do you think's gonna be leading that game the whole time? Probably the Bills. So who's gonna be throwing a lot of this game? The Steelers and Kenny Pickett. And it looks like he likes George Pickens. So I don't know if he's gonna be a league winner the rest of the year, but I like him this week because of the game script. So I'm gonna go George Pickens.
Yeah, man, he's not a terrible pick. When I first saw it on the show, Doc, I thought to myself, they play Buffalo. But you're right, man. If game script permits it, the Steelers are going to be throwing the ball a lot. The Bills, if they are weak anywhere, it's really at the corners because they're dealing with a couple of injuries right now. And whoever is healthy, they're probably still going to be covering Deontay Johnson, who is the true number one on that team. Not to say that he doesn't have that position all year long, if your boy Pickens is who he says he is. But nonetheless, I think if he plays that role, he's going to find more space, less coverage as a 3 or a 2, as opposed to Deontay Johnson's 1, and attract a little bit less attention. So this might be even more of a coming out party for George Pickens. And I hope that is the case, man. I hope that is the case. Any other thoughts, man, before we close out on your dark horse of the week?
No, and like Gabe said, look, I'm not saying he's an absolute must start. I'm just saying consider him in your flex if in a PPR league if you're out of options.
And there you have it. There's always so much noise in the background. Anyways, that is Jacob's dark horse player for week 5 of the fantasy season, George Pickens, wide receiver for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I got some love for my tia, Auntie Marta. I love you, Auntie Marta. Thank you. I love you too. Have a good night. Sleep tight. Say hi to Gracia for me. Let's go ahead and move on to my dark horse this time around in week 5. And that is wide receiver, another wide receiver, except this one plays for the New England Patriots, and that's Jacoby Myers. Listen, he hasn't played the last 2 weeks. He's been out with injuries. He was able to get in limited practices all last week before showing up with the big IA inactive. This week he started with a limited practice. I'm hoping if that trend continues. So this dark horse is technically contingent on if he plays or not, but signs are pointing like he's going to be making a return to the field this week. I love the matchup against the Detroit Lions. They've been proven to beat up. They've been proven to get. Anyways, they're very vulnerable through the air. I should probably just change up my language, huh? They're vulnerable through the air, and that's a perfect matchup for a guy like Jacoby Myers. And I know what you might be thinking. Well, Mac Jones is hurt. He's not going to be playing. Sure. I know what you also might be thinking. Well, Brian Hoyer might still be in concussion protocol. What are you saying? I know. I understand that. And you also might be saying, they're starting a third-string quarterback in Ben Zappe. That's lunatic. I understand what you are saying. If Jacoby Myers plays this week, I do believe that he jumps right back into the fold, similar to what Godwin did this past week against Kansas City and Tampa Bay. But I think he sees the targets. I think he gets the workload. His role as a wide receiver has changed so much since he has come into the league, and I've watched his game highlights over the first 2 weeks of the season, and I've just watched how they've moved him around, how he's been able to go underneath, through the middle, and even down deep. And I think guys that are versatile like that, they find use and they get used quickly. So with that being said, I love Jacob. I got laughter in the background because I think I'm working on it. Okay, I didn't say I'm a perfect linguist. I work on these things, but because of those reasons and those reasons alone, that's why Jacoby Myers is a guy that I like this week heading into Detroit, a team that's vulnerable through the air, even with a guy like Ben Zappi, who held his own through 2 quarters against Aaron Rodgers, and they had to go to overtime to win that game. So I am Team Zappy all the way if he's starting. And I look at it as Brian Hoyer's an upgrade. And if Mac Jones is back, which he's probably not likely to be, then I like all 3 of them. Jacoby Myers is a guy that I am looking to start this week against the Detroit Lions. Jacob, any thoughts? And I know it's kind of weird. It's kind of out there. But, hey, I'll take the L even if he doesn't play. I probably won't. I retract that statement.
No, that is a good call. I mean – so it is tough with Mac Jones being out, right? Because the good games that we saw with Jacoby Myers earlier this season were with Mac Jones. But if any team other than the 49ers are a system that plug and plays players, it's the New England Patriots. And meaning maybe Bailey Zappi can run the same offense that Mac Jones runs and get the ball to Jacoby Myers. Before Jacoby Myers missed these last 2 games, he was one of the hottest waiver wire pickups because he had such a great game in week 2. Suddenly he's injured. Everybody forgets about him and they drop him. And I'm like, what are you guys doing? So I love the call of Jacoby Myers.
Well, thank you, man. I really do appreciate it. And just to kind of give it perspective, because, we always get these dark horse picks, but you might be thinking at home or listening, well, who are you starting him over? Well, I have a few, and, this kind of gives you some perspective into our leagues and the decision-making process that I'm in. I'm in a 12 league right now, but I could easily find this situation similar in a 10-man league. I'm starting him over guys like Zay Jones, Noah Brown, his teammate Devontae Parker this week, even Devin Dervaney, who is likely going to be without Rashad Bateman this week. I like him over all these guys if he's healthy and playing. Those are guys that I'm starting him over. So, again, that is my dark horse pick for week 5, Jacoby Myers, wide receiver for the New England Patriots. Jacob, how you doing, man? We're halfway through the show and we're an hour in, dude. We gotta push it to the limit, baby. But before we do, Vizion's in the house, man. Thank you so much for stopping by. Is David Montgomery a better long-term fit than Swift? Negative. You got to get Swift, man. Swift's the guy. David Montgomery is on what? I think he's on the 3rd of his 4th-year contract. Khalil Herbert has shown out. Sure, Jamon Williams has showed out as well. But Swift is just too talented.
Yeah, especially if it's any type of PPR league. And look, we're assuming this question is assuming both players come back and they're both healthy. I would rather have Swift.
Yeah,
for sure.
But Vizion, thank you so much, man. We appreciate it. If we get it right, for some reason you were thinking about making a trade and all of a sudden Swift comes back in 3 weeks and blows the roof off the ceiling, then come back in 3 weeks, like and subscribe. We appreciate you so much, man. And if we get it wrong and David Montgomery ends up being the leading rusher for week 6 and on, then come back next year and give us another shot, and we'll try to get it right. Jacob, I'm going to transition very quickly here because we got dogs that are in the background. It's just a day, man. What do you expect? We're hosting it on a Wednesday night. Things happen, and I appreciate the camaraderie and the enthusiasm that we have going on behind us. So let's keep it going. Are you ready for Fool's Gold, my friend?
I am.
Then I'm going to mute my mic, and I'm going to let you, Jacob, give us your Fool's Gold player for week 5.
Okay, so the concept here with Fool's Gold, and that we kind of been doing since we started this YouTube channel, is that there might be players that people are excited about. A new guy who just got off the waiver, somebody who's coming into a lot more opportunity than they did the week before. And so for me, my fool's gold this week is going to be Tyler Algier. Now, look, I picked up Tyler Algier in one of my leagues, and I think he's a great pickup. But I'm not starting him this week. Even though I'm missing a Jonathan Taylor, I'm still not starting Tyler Algier. I just think there's many different factors. Yes, like we talked about, Clyde Edwards-Helaire had a good game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But like Gabe mentioned earlier, very intelligently, not all these teams are the Kansas City Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes. They can't necessarily, focus only on the run game when you have Mahomes throwing the ball. So I think that opened up more opportunities for Clyde Edwards-Helaire. It's not going to be the same thing with them playing Atlanta. I think that they're going to struggle, and he's not going to be able to get much on the ground. He might get a little bit of passing work here and there, but he's also sharing as well. So look, I'm excited for you if you got Tyler Algier, if you had him and he's coming in these opportunities, or if you got him off the waiver wire. But mostly stick with your starters, your guys that you trust, and see how he does this week. Wait and see, wait for a good matchup, etc. But there might be people who don't have an option. You lost Jonathan Taylor, you're completely depleted at running back. Okay, in that case, you have to start him. But, for example, in my league, I still have Ramondre Stevenson and Khalil Herbert. I'm starting those guys over him this week, especially if Montgomery's out. But they just have much better matchups as well. So hold him, obviously, keep him on your bench. I don't think he's going to have a great game. I hear you, Mardell, in the chat, but I think you just got to wait a week. Just wait a week.
Yeah, man, it's tough.
Actually, wait 2 weeks because they play San Francisco after that.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time talking about that Atlanta Falcons backfield today, Caleb Huntley and Algier. There's no doubt that they're going to get the workload. It's just how efficient will they be? And, last week when Patterson went down and didn't return in the second half, I think Algier was averaging 8 yards per carry and Huntley was averaging 5 yards per carry. They looked great. They looked amazing. That was against a bottom of the barrel defense. You got 2 of the top ranked defenses the next 2 weeks. I think they are stifled over the next 2 weeks.
Mardell was actually agreeing with me. Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Oh, yes. It's always nice when a fan of a team agrees with you. Jacob, I love your picks. I couldn't agree more. And with that being said, that was your Fool's Gold player of the week, and that was Tyler Algier, running back for the Atlanta Falcons. Let's move on to mine. I am making a last-second pivot, but before I do, we had to get Mardell in here. No start on Falcons. Yes, we agree. Thank you. You nailed it, Jacob. He nails a lot of things, man. That was
whoa. I can neither confirm or deny that. But Gabe, if you're pivoting your Fool's Gold, make sure you tell our graphics guy. That's all I'm saying.
Dude, okay, Gabe. What am I
Gabe
muted?
lost it. Gabe lost it.
Okay, all right. No, I'm good, dude. Okay. All right. Let's get into my Fool's Gold player of the week here. And yes, I will get it into our producer here very soon. That is the entire Colts backfield. Yes, we spent time talking about Tyler Algier and Caleb Huntley, and we've also spent time talking about Phillip Lindsay, Nyheim Hines, and I found out who the other guy was, Deion Jackson, rookie running back of the Indianapolis Colts. Those 3 are not to be trusted in week 5, and here's why, okay? I don't like them. And nobody really knows who that option is going to be. We talked a lot about beat writers early on in the episode saying that Phillip Lindsay was going to get the bulk load of the carries. Sure. Is that going to happen? I don't necessarily know. I'm nervous. Okay. I don't know if I'm willing to pivot like that. Also on hand, Nyheim Hines is a very good pass catcher. Matt Ryan is not who he was or who he has been in the past. They brought him in because they were a Super Bowl contending team. Jonathan Taylor, before he went down with injury, who is not who he was or who he has been last season. things are going wrong in Indianapolis. And it doesn't change when you lose your best weapon in Jonathan Taylor. I think there's a rough road ahead this week on a short week for the Indianapolis Colts. I'm looking it up here because I forgot off the top of my head who they're going into play this week. Oh, that's right. The Denver Broncos, who have a top 5 rush defense. It just doesn't look good for anybody there. I'm unwilling to guess. I don't want to take the time. I don't want to waste the effort, especially knowing and being optimistic that Jonathan Taylor can make a return after 10 days rest going into week 6 because the injury was not as severe as once first thought. So I'm not wasting my time on the headache. Hopefully there is a way in your lineups where you can adjust your flexes around and get a different player in that running back slot, even if you were super desperate. Because I get it and I understand. You drafted Jonathan Taylor to be your running back 1. So you might have went hero RB and you don't have other guys necessarily. I'm telling you, pick up anybody else. Probably even Algier or Huntley off of volume alone. I would probably start over these guys. Just think critically. Give me some time to think because I did pivot last second. But still, I don't even know projections, but I'm calling under 10 fantasy points for anybody who gets the most carries in that backfield. And I think that's sufficient to say, and I stand by that. So the Indianapolis Colts backfield against the Denver Broncos on Thursday night. So that's soon. We'll get that clip out shortly.
Tomorrow
is going to be my Fool's Gold player of the week this week.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a bad call because I know a lot of people are, depending on Hines. And so you're saying like, hey, either start another running back or, just load your flexes with wide receivers if you have them in your flex. Yeah, I mean, it's not a big deal. And that's a ballsy call because you're saying whoever the top performer is in that backfield, they're going to have under 10 fantasy points. Like, so you have 3 players who can prove you wrong. So that's a ballsy call.
Yeah, I went for the 3 for 1, man. And I got to stop using euphemisms. It doesn't go well when I use words like that. So I'm just I'm going to rephrase from
personality to the show.
Sure. Vizion back in the chat. I have Khalil Herbert currently, and I'm not sure if he's going to keep up his fantasy points since David is coming back. Not this week, but next week. Is this a spot to trade him? I mean, definitely, man. You have both of them. Do you not have David Montgomery? If you don't have David Montgomery, sure, trade Khalil Herbert. Trade him high. I think Khalil Herbert is a fine stash in Dynasty for sure. When this guy plays, he does well. It's just that they've shown loyalty to David Montgomery. David Montgomery gets the workload when he does play. If you have to sell high in a redraft, I'm not opposed to that at all. But also, I'm not opposed to keeping him either. Because let's just say David Montgomery comes back and is not who he was, or he gets re-injured. It's very much a sad reality that when a player comes back from injury, they're usually dealing with something that's lingering for weeks and weeks to come, right? So, I don't want to say that about anyone. I don't want to spread bad vibes or bad juju anywhere, but I'm fine with holding Khalil Herbert. Maybe go to the David Montgomery odor specifically and see who he has. See if you can't poach a nice wide receiver 3, maybe even a low wide receiver 2. I don't necessarily know what the running back landscape looks like and who you would target there for Khalil Herbert, because anybody who's looking at a running back there is looking for more of a mainstay rather than a rental at this point. But I would look for a wide receiver for sure if that's what you need. So thanks for stopping by, Vizion. Jacob, any thoughts?
No, I basically agree. If you can, because who knows what's going to happen. If Montgomery comes back and he's healthy, he's going to be the starting running back. So,
for a second, I was literally going to throw out all advice we just gave him because I was like, dude, I don't know if you're literally just sitting on Madden right now with force trade enabled and you just want to make this trade happen. I was like, where did this question come from? But then I saw the laugh emoji. So I knew he was just pulling our chain. No, obviously that can't happen. Khalil Herbert for Swift. Come on, man. Jacob, what are you saying?
No, I'm saying you can construct a trade around those 2 players somehow but not straight up. I don't think the Swift owner would do that. But look, you never know. There's a possibility, like I said, Swift misses 10 games this year and Khalil Herbert starts 10 games this year. And then, oh my goodness, I would have loved to make that trade. So you never know.
That's true. You never know. Well, again, thank you, Vizion. We appreciate you. I hope I'm getting that right. You never know with YouTube names. You never know. Jacob, you ready for some gut call start? Listen to your – come on, get it together. You ready for some listen to your gut, Jacob?
I am.
Let's go, baby. I am putting time on the clock. Hopefully you haven't – Jacob, you haven't looked at the notes yet, right? Jacob never looks at notes, guys. He doesn't know what's going on.
The part that I'm supposed to look at, I do.
That's fair. All right, here we go. Are you ready, sir?
I'm ready.
I gotta send up the camera. It doesn't start until I start the clock, or until I read the first one. Really quick before we start.
Yay! We really appreciate it, honestly. We really do.
We really do. And I know this is cheesy and it looks weird, but it's our best way of showing gratitude. And I stopped exactly what I was doing because I wanted to make sure that you felt appreciated, because you are. So thank you, Vizion, for stopping by, and thank you for the sub, man. We couldn't have done it without you, and we will continue to do it with your support. So thank you so much. All right, Jacob, back to it. Timer's on the clock. It starts after I read the first player. And you know what? This week we're changing the rules. You got 30 seconds now. Okay?
Okay.
Tyler Algier at Tampa Bay or Travis Etienne versus Houston.
Oh my goodness. Travis Etienne.
Romeo Dobbs versus New York Giants or Jerry Jeudy versus Indianapolis.
Romeo Dobbs.
Teddy B at the New York Jets or Zach Wilson against Miami.
Teddy B.
Ooh. Dalton Schultz at the Rams or Mo Alley Cox in Denver.
Mo Alley Cox.
Saints versus Seattle or Chargers at Cleveland.
Chargers at Cleveland.
Ooh, 33 seconds. Sometimes I got to account for the way I stutter and stuff. I think I have a problem. Anyways, not bad. Travis Etienne over Tyler Algier. We've been talking poorly about Tyler Algier and how he's not someone you want to face this week. To be honest, when I came up with that, dude, I had forgotten, or at least I wasn't thinking in the moment, that was your Fool's Gold player of the week.
That's a tough one because I almost went Algier. That's why that one took me the longest, if you noticed. And I almost went Algier, but I'm like, it's Houston. Let's go. This has to be the Travis Etienne breakout game. The week that he's not my whatever we call it. Yeah.
It happens so often too. I specifically remember times last year where we called for a player to have a great game, and then the very next week they had a great game. It's just the way the fantasy gods like to rule their world, man. With hurt and shame and making you feel bad. I like the Romeo Dobbs take. He's just seen a lot of usage, and he's found the end zone 2 weeks now in a row. I like the Teddy B take at the New York Jets. He's got the better weapons. Even though Zach Wilson made some clutch plays this week, I like that Miami defense, and I think that team's going to rally around Teddy B, and I like Zach Wilson, not in this matchup. Schultz versus Mo Alley Cox. Oh, man, that was the toughest one for me, because I'm dealing with that dilemma right now. Whether Mo Alley Cox doesn't catch anything, but when he catches it, he catches a touchdown. But they also have Jelani Webb there, Jelani Woods, who's also a touchdown magnet. So it's really just who's going to catch the touchdown. And then you have Schultz, who was really hyped up, then got injured. Yeah. Now he's where he's at. And it was tough too for you, Jacob.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't read up on the Schultz injury. So that's why I had to go Mo Alley Cox. But that one was tough. Yeah.
It was tough. And then Saints at Seattle, Chargers at Cleveland. I think we went Saints there, looking for Gino to regress a little bit. Or did you go Chargers? I forgot.
I went Chargers, but I instantly regretted it.
No. I don't actually mind that, man. Yeah. I don't mind that at all. I think I'd probably still go Saints. They're playing at home. Chargers are going to Cleveland. Cleveland's looking to rebound. I'd probably go Saints there.
I just can't forgive the Chargers defense for getting me -4 1 week.
Vizion's back in the chat. The Swift owner has Schultz starting. So I was thinking, since I have Kelsey starting and Higbee on my bench, I could throw Higbee with Herbert to get Swift. What do you guys think? Nah, I still don't think they do that. How long is Swift out for?
Okay, so honestly, if you look on your fantasy app, he's questionable, but I don't know why, because he's going to be out past the bye. They're not going to bring him back before the bye week. So that's 2 more weeks, a bye week, then he'll be back.
Yeah.
So that's 4 weeks, a month from now.
I mean, dude, if you can hold it, I would probably take Swift. Although, you know what? We saw this last year. Swift has been injury prone before. And I don't remember if it was last year or in his rookie year when he got injured and he came back. They were already having a horrendous season and playing for a draft pick. And they significantly scaled back his workload. So that might be something to think about. But if you're saying he comes back before the midway point of the season, there's likely that there's still hope there. Maybe that team's, let's say 3-5. And they're pushing for they want to do something, and that's not overly. But I know personally, being cynical and cheap and stingy, I would not do that trade even with Swift hurt.
I mean, it's not a bad, like, can the Swift manager afford to go another month without some running back production? Like, that's the thing. So you should make the offer. You should talk to that Swift manager, see what. Like, talk to him first. Like, all right, sometimes Gabe and I, we send random trades to each other, but I at least recommend communicating with the other manager first. Say, hey, I'm interested in Swift. I want to send Herbert back your way. Like, what other player can I package with Herbert to get Swift? Do you want Higbee? And then see what they say. Like, you got to communicate, be respectful. And those managers who also do the same thing, they'll get back to you.
Jacob, would you do Saquon Barkley for Romeo Doubs and Isaiah McKenzie? This is what I get, bro. Like, come on, man. I don't even want to.
Was that a viewer question?
No, it's my question. Like, this is what people send me. They just think Dobbs. Oh, all right. Mardell says, if you can find Conklin or Njoku on the waiver wire, then do that. Yeah, man. I mean, Conklin's been super consistent and super under the radar this year. He's the top 7 guy right now in fantasy. Very clutch. Even with Wilson back last week, he still found fantasy success. And Njoku is finally living up to the promise that everyone thought he should live up to. Maybe that's because he doesn't have Baker Mayfield anymore, because people don't have success when Baker Mayfield is at quarterback. Should I drop Stafford for Carr? Other QBs available are Zach Wilson, Teddy B, Kirk Cousins, Tannehill, etc. Carr or Tannehill, they're not pretty, but at the end of the season, because they're going through some growing pains right now, by the end of the season, those guys are almost undoubtedly top 14 quarterbacks. I don't think Stafford is droppable, but if there's a way you can stash 2 QBs, because you got to think the Super Bowl champs are going to turn it around at some point and figure out what they're doing. They faced a really tough 49ers defense last night or a couple of nights ago. I think better days are ahead for Stafford and company, but if you can stash them for now, I like either Carr or Cousins.
Can you keep both? Can you keep Stafford on your roster and add Carr? That's what I would do. And then I would probably start Carr this week.
Yeah. Plus matchup for sure.
He plays the Chiefs tough, and he always does well against the Chiefs.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Hey, Vincent, we appreciate you, man. I know you were here earlier. Thanks for coming back with more of your questions. Again, we hope to be that sounding wall for you that gives you that advice, that second round advice, or a helpful shoulder to lean on. All right. Back to Vizion. He has Dalvin Cook with Dylan on his bench as well as ETN. Yeah, Dalvin Cook isn't doing what he's doing. Dylan isn't doing what he's doing. And ETN isn't doing what he's doing. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe.
Oh, wow. This is the Swift owner.
Yeah,
so he's hurting really bad.
He's got another one. And he's got a backup Ty, which I know also injures. So I think he just needs a tight end. Oh, he's got Dawson Knox. Yeah, man. Yeah. Just keep playing around.
It doesn't hurt to try.
Keep playing around. If you can afford to give it up, which it sounds like you can. Yeah, Higbee and Herbert. I just don't know if you get Swift, but talk to him, see what he's willing to budge on. It sounds like he definitely needs immediate help. So Herbert might be that immediate fill-in option, But right now, it just seems like a 1-week rental at this point. So I don't know if he'd go for it. But it doesn't hurt to talk, man. It does not hurt to talk. Stafford will bounce back and feed Allen Robinson at some point this season. Mardell, you and I hope. We hope that that's the case. I think the bounce back is real. To Allen Robinson feeding point, I don't necessarily see eye to eye with you on. But yeah, that team's got to figure it out. You can't target Cooper Kupp 19 times in a football game and expect good things to happen, because eventually teams are just going to play off of Cooper Kupp, but only off enough to where he catches the ball and they contain him to 6 yards. Like, it's just it's not sustainable for an offense. That running game needs to step up. That offensive line needs to step up. Who would have thought losing Wentworth was like tremendous blow to this team? And it was, because he was great, and it just has not been good without him. Vincent back in the chat. I have Tua as well, so should I drop him for now? I mean, he's missing this week. He's missing probably next week. You don't have an injury like that and just miss the standard 2 weeks. I think he's out for a little bit longer.
Is he not IR eligible? Oh, he's out. So,
yeah, he should be IR eligible. Vincent,
yeah.
Check with that. We're not answering your question until you check to see if your league is IR eligible.
Because you should let us know in the IR if you can.
And then Vincent, hold on for now. Hey, look, Mardell was saying the same thing. I never left. Oh, dude. Jacob, come on, dude. It only works if both of us do it. What are you thinking, man? I've been here the whole time. Love your guys' show. Came by last week, and honestly, you're going to see me every week. Dude.
Nice.
Bro, it's people
these
like
dudes
you,
have well done photos. I don't know
where why does everybody look like a 5-star bachelor, bro? And I'm over here looking like a budget advertising marketing guy.
I look like
what's going on,
like, dude? I'm in like a t-shirt and shorts in my photo. I need to step my game up.
Seriously. Hey, Vincent, let us know what you do for a living. Now I'm just curious, because I like everyone's in a suit, bro. And look, next week Mardell's going to show up in the chat.
I know his photo's going to be in a suit. Yeah,
they're like, "What's going on, dude?" We got a crowd of gentlemen. That's what I'm saying, baby. We got a crowd of gentlemen. Don't play Bears offensive players at all, especially wide receivers, when your quarterback only throws the ball 16 times a game. Even though Darnell Mooney had his best game last week as a Lions wide receiver so far this year. Oh, he has Elijah Mitchell in his IR.
So you only have one IR spot. Honestly, if it's a one quarterback
league, you can drop him, dude.
You could drop Tua.
You can drop him. Sorry, Vincent. I hope that helps. That may have not been the news you wanted to hear, but hopefully it's fine to drop him, because I don't think anybody's going to be rushing unless you have a Dolphins crazy fan, next week to get him. And he might be a player you can drop this week because he's not playing. And then if you find out that he is playing, whether you have Fab or Waiver Wire, you could probably put a claim on him and get him back. Because who's going to really, you just play your odds at this point and probably cut ties with him, because you do need Elijah Mitchell when he comes back. Another thing about the Swift owner, dude, I love Vizion, dude. Let's hear it, bro. Another thing about the Swift owner is that besides the running backs I've named already, he's hurting with the Patterson injury as well. No, man, it's the scenario you are painting tells me that he needs immediate help. I still just don't think that Herbert and Higbee will get you that guy. So you might have to offer up a little bit more, is what I'm trying to say. Jacob?
Yeah, I mean, look, you're asking.
Send the offer for sure.
Yes, you should still do the offer. That's what I'm saying. Like, you know, unless it's one of those managers that gets mad at you, like, why would you ever send this BS? Like, get out of my face. Like, but it's not a disrespectful offer.
If that's the kind of managers you have in your league, then you can't play with me, because that's how I start all trade negotiations. Is I just send trades and then I wait for people to respond and then we talk. We have a discussion. Basically, I never send a trade firsthand thinking that it's going to get accepted right off the bat, because that's
just a conversation starter.
It's just a conversation starter. I know they're not going to accept it. I'm not sending them the crown jewels. I want to feel them out first. I want to see what they want, what their needs are, and try to reel them in. It's like a fishing scam, man.
So here's my advice if you're trying to trade Khalil Herbert, because a lot of fantasy managers, they only look at the fantasy points, right? So they're going to look at him and they're going to see 35 points last week and then 11 points this week. But tell them, hey, look, in week 3, He had 20 carries for 157 yards and 2 touchdowns. Touchdowns are fluky. They're up and down. You never know when players are going to get them. So show him that he still had 19 carries and 77 yards. That's the workload that you're looking for. The only counter argument is that Montgomery's coming back. But like we said before, we never know. We've seen these injuries linger throughout the season. So Khalil Herbert could still be a starting fantasy asset for the whole entire season. So if he's iffy on Herbert, maybe point a couple of those things out.
Yeah, for sure. Couldn't said it better myself, Jacob. And thank you, Vision, for stopping by, dude. We appreciate you. Modell is just talking more about Robinson. We get it, man. We get it. Comparing him to OBJ from last season. Sure, dude.
Yeah, you have to hold on to him.
No. I think totally droppable in some leagues. I've seen him drop in some of our leagues. But I will say this. The same people that are dropping him could very well be the people that are picking him up in week 10, week 11, because, he's starting to find that rhythm, that continuity. And maybe Stafford is starting to really get that second half win of the season, and they're pushing for a playoff, and they have an easier matchup down the road or an easier schedule down the road. So I wouldn't put it past him. He's just not a guy that I have any shares of right now. I hope the best for him. He's got the money. He just needs to show it. Chef Nobby, pick up Pacheco or Murray. Latavius Murray, dude. Honestly, I like Pacheco. I don't know if he's more of a handcuff at this point, but he's in the better offense. Latavius Murray, he could come out even if he does play this Sunday. It looks like he will because he just played last week in London, so he's going to be able to get picked up and play. Even if he does play and he has a great week. We saw last year when he had his stint in Baltimore that he came out and was great and then very quickly fizzled out and did not look well. He looked okay, not great in London last week on his fill-in stint there. But with that being said, I think Pacheco's a nice guy, man. I like Pacheco, and he's seeing work. We made a lot of fuss about him in week 1 when he had 12 carries because – we didn't make a lot of fuss about him because all of his carries were in the fourth quarter. Over the last 2 weeks, he's seen some in-game action, and he saw some action when it was close against Tampa Bay last week. So I like Pacheco there. We're spending too much time on that one. Sorry. But we do appreciate you, Jeff Noby. And the only reason why we said that is because, you had another question. Tyler Algier or Caleb Huntley? That's a good one. Tyler Algier.
I'll go Algier.
Yeah, more invested, more draft capital.
I spent 20% of fab on Algier, and Huntley's still sitting on the waiver wire. So, I would go Algier.
Yeah. Mardell says droppable. They're gonna miss out on Robinson by week 10. LOL, dude. Let's make a bet. Let's make a bet right now. Let's make a bet. Mardell, I don't know what it is, but I want to bet, and I'm so far 1 for 1 on bets with viewers. That's right. I bet with viewers. I say right now that Allen Robinson does not get over 14 fantasy points until after week 10 of this fantasy football season. And we are at week 5. So that's 5 weeks of Allen Robinson scoring less than 14 plus fantasy points. Let me know what you think. I think Latavius Murray got picked up by Denver. No, yeah, he did. That's what we were talking about.
I just think it's funny that the Saints add him for 1 week and then they drop him. Dude, and what?
It's kind of like the new G League. I kind of like what they did. But anyways, we know he got picked up by Denver, Vincent. Thanks for pointing that out. He was picked up. We know that. And I just think he's going to come out. And I was kind of comparing him to a stint last year when he was in Baltimore, where he had that one good week, the first week of the season, and then really just fizzled out, forcing the team to pick up guys like Devontae Freeman later on, or I should say later on, very early on in the season as well. So I don't really like anybody in that backfield in Denver. Manscaped, brought to you by Jacob. Yeah, baby. That's right. LOL. Vision, another thing about my league. Dude, awesome. 4-0. Appreciate it. Who should I pick up that you think is a sleeper or a person like Mostert who is most likely going to be there? Who is most likely going to get their workload for the rest of the season? Well, we were just talking about this, dude. 4-0, you got some room to spare. Rashad White, running back for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, is a guy that I think you should keep an eye on. I think he's going to be somebody that people are running for the waiver wires for if Leonard Fournette is injured or in about 3 or 4 weeks when he starts to pick up a little bit more momentum. But he's a guy that I would definitely keep an eye on. Jacob, anybody? I mean, you can definitely bring up a riser who you were just talking about earlier, but I think he's speaking specifically about running backs or just a player.
Yeah, I mean,
We can refer
running
back to
backs. I mean, we talked about a few. You talked about White. I mean, Pacheco. He's not rostered in every league. Yeah, I mean, I would even trade for somebody like a lower level trade. Like, take one of these high upside guys who had a terrible week, like Tony Pollard. Like, if you can get Tony Pollard for cheap, get him now, coming off a 1-point game.
Yeah, for sure. We appreciate you, Vizion, man. Thanks for sticking with us. Mardell, shout out to the sponsor for dude. Yeah, I don't know where you've been at, man.
I think Mardell missed the the ad read.
He missed the ad read.
Thank you, Manscaped. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Vizion, when do you think OBG is going to come back? Well, he's not even expected to start playing again, or at least like actively moving around until Christmas time. Or not Christmas time, till midway point of the season. Sorry, I think of Christmas time as midway point.
He's going to sign once he's healthy because that's when he's going to get the best deal.
Yeah, and speaking of rumors, because we were talking about rumors earlier in the show, Los Angeles Rams were rumored to kind of bring him back in. And I don't know. It's all speculation.
Well, they said during the game, too, that they haven't cleaned out his locker yet. So.
What, dude? He just traded Jamal Williams.
Yeah, so
T. Higgins yesterday. So we got T. Higgins. He got
that was the peak value of Jamal Williams, man.
I mean, yeah, but still, dude, like that's an incredible trade. Good for you. Yeah.
Amazing.
Good for you, man. We're proud of you.
I wish I could do that.
No, never. Mardell.
I mean, I have them both on the same team.
Robinson goes for 16 in week 12 versus KC. Let's do it. Let's do it, man. Let's do it.
Wow.
Thanks, Mardell, for stopping out, man. We appreciate you. But we got to hang out again, Mardell. We got to hang out again. It's been a long time since I've seen that face. Vizion, Rashad is on my bench already. Oh, well, dude, then you're good, bro. You're good. That's who we talked about today. I'm sure we have some more guys that are out there. Looking at the waiver wire right now and this week as a whole, it was really kind of just skimpy. There wasn't a lot of exciting things, mostly just injury-related concerns that people had to deal with. But, man, Christian Watson, look for Christian Watson out there. They spent the wide receiver from Green Bay. They spent a higher draft capital on him than Romeo Doubs. He missed 2 weeks or the last 3 weeks, I think, with injury. He played last week, had that 15-yard rushing touchdown. He might be someone to look out for. Going a little bit further as he gets more acclimated into this lineup and into this rotation. So Christian Watson is another guy. And then Mardell, we'll discuss later. You know what, Mardell? I think that's a perfect segue to our exit. Yes, we will discuss more things with you later. Not to mention, good news, fellas. We got a DFS show coming out very, very soon. So for anybody who plays DFS out there, we're excited to bring you brand new content. DFS content. We're going to build a lineup with you on the show live, and we're going to put a team together that's going to win us tons and tons of money or lose to bots. I haven't decided yet. But with that being said, be on the lookout for our DFS show. It is coming very, very soon, and we couldn't have done it without you guys. Thank you so much. And thank you to our sponsor, Manscaped. Please feel free to go ahead and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram at First Round Fantasy. If you're looking at our faces, you're already watching us on YouTube, so feel free to hit the like button and the subscribe button down below. It does so much. You don't even believe it. Wait, you don't even whatever. It means a lot to us. You can also find us anywhere else you get your podcasts, including Apple Podcasts and Spotify. So please feel free to do that. Before we get out of here, we got one more comment. The guy that made that trade also turned down a trade for Cooper Kupp. He got offered Cooper Kupp for Amon-Ra St. Brown, and he declined it. Oh. Yeah. I mean, well, hey, some guys are just there for you to take advantage of.
Wow.
But yes, I received T. Higgins. Guys, good show. Have a good evening. Mardell, you too, man. Thank you so much for stopping by. Thank you, everybody, for stopping by. What's your prediction for 49ers season? I'm Jacob, 49ers fan of the house.
I'm a 49ers fan as well.
I think they're
it's
going to
gonna go
lose. They
a
ain't
lot
going
like
anywhere.
last year. We struggled at first, and then we won like 10 out of 11 games. So I think it's just that win streak-ish is starting a little bit earlier than last year. So let's go, baby.
Sure.
Let's go.
Vincent, good night to you too, man. Thanks for sticking around. We appreciate you so much. I don't know how many more times I could say it. And Mardell, I would have declined that too. Yes, I would have declined that too. Jacob, let's get out of here, man. You got a hot take lined up that people can just leave with their jaws dropped after they close their little phone screens on us?
Man, I'm all out of hot takes.
Well, I'm
Feeling
here and I'm
discouraged.
ready to show it up. Are you ready? Get it ready, man.
I'm ready.
Get it ready. Get it ready. Are you ready, Jacob?
I'm ready.
All right. In week 5. Are you ready, Jacob? In week 5, Derek Carr, number 1 overall QB finish. Have a good weekend. Peace.